Hello, my name is Marcus and welcome to Tabletop Reviews, where we have 5 games that I have played, part 6. I'm gonna release these ones once a week now until I end up. That's about 3 weeks as far as I can see in my document here. But today we have a episode that's actually the most positive episode that I've had ever. This is like probably the highest ratings I'm going to give out. But generally speaking, this series is the negative stuff because I don't want to spend an entire video just being overly negative, so that's why I have this one. But part 6 is going to be a bit negative, positive. But let's start off with Agricola, as that's the lowest rating I'm going to give today. Some of you are probably thinking, oh, this is going to be very high. It's not. Agricola is not overly interesting. So, first of all, you have the cards, right? You have the yellow and the orange cards. I can't remember what they're called. But you have those cards to play out in different situations, to different demands. Turns out those cards are going to give you a lot of points. I found out through losing that, yeah, okay, those are the cards you should play. But they are so, like, in distinct situations. I never at any point felt, except for a few of them, that I got anything from playing them. That I got anything significant from playing them. And so that's the issue, like, our opponents have some good ones, but like, or you should just play to your cards, right? But I don't want to like get dealt a hand of 7 cards or so, and then just that be my play for the entire game. So that felt overwhelming. Defeating your workers part is fine. You don't do enough, and it is too expensive. I usually would end up spending most of my turns worrying about feeding my workers because I could only do 2 things every turn. If I couldn't do the very important thing, I had to find not so important things to do with my workers instead. And then I was the last one to get a 3rd worker, but just because I didn't I'm never going to be capable of feeding my workers. Then slowly I kind of grew my farm, and I was way behind because just they took the risks or whatever. And I ended up being the only person to not feed my work. I don't know, they seemed like they liked the game, but I just felt so restrained by everything, and I had to build up a bunch of things, and I couldn't do everything that I wanted to do at all. I ended up losing by a big mark because I just felt so limited with everything that was in the game. I love worker placement. Worker placement is very one of my favorite things within gaming. There's a cat over here, I don't know if you see it on camera. But this just took worker placement and said, fuck you. I had very few, and most of them did the same, but it just didn't unlock combos. There's another one, and later one I will talk about, when it comes to combos. I really want to be capable of doing something on my turn, or for this round, making ready for other rounds. I just didn't really feel like I could do a whole lot of that, because I mostly had to worry about getting food for my workers, which was kind of difficult. And of course I made some mistakes, because you're always going to probably make a few mistakes in your first playthrough, and then your second maybe even. Which maybe I learned from, maybe I didn't. But the most important part is even making food, right? I got the stove very easily to make food, but you have to be on that space, and there's only one space. Everybody wants to make it. If I'm not the first player, then I'm not going to probably be capable of taking that space. But if I want to be the first player, I'm wasting one of my workers on that. That's what I'm talking about. You don't have the access to do that. I once or twice took the first player because I couldn't really use my worker for anything else. But usually I didn't, because my 2 or 3 workers that I had needed to be used for something different. Because they're so fucking important to use for those. Because you're so fucking limited. Right? I was in like Lost for the Deep. Right? Another game where you're quite limited. I don't feel like you're doing a whole lot. It's basically at higher play counts. But it can really be a tactical thing to take the first play marker without you're not going to completely waste the turn. It is a part of your tactic looking forward. In this one, no. I'm going to put it down, take first player marker, risk a bunch of shit. And I just know it's going to be taken away from me because my opponents apparently don't think their workers are valuable. I don't know, like, we're thinking about it. I don't know what I could have done differently. I don't know why they were so much better than me. Because we were doing all the same things. And when I think about it, it's because they made sure to have the first player marker. And just very few rounds did you have an opportunity to take that. It's such a tight game. But at the same time, like, I see where it does good in the worker placement parts and building up your workers and feeding your workers. It all kind of makes sense building up your farm. I've written 5 here, and I think I'm going to stick to 5. I'm going to stick to 5 rating for it. Although I'm so unhappy about it, I can see that it's a good game, and there's something there. It just didn't at all appeal to me. So that's why I'm going to give it a 5. Because I can see it's not actually a terrible game. It just did not at all appeal to me. So 5. a -5, I could say. There's the +5, there's a -5. This is a -5. It's gonna get better from here. Well, maybe, maybe not. King of Tokyo is the next one I want to talk about. Chugging dice, trying to hurt each other. It was an interesting one. First we played and I was like, okay, just chugging dice, it's very lucky and you use those dice. But then we played again. I realized it's just a lot of fun. There's no tactic whatsoever. You're not thinking about just rolling the dice like, okay, I want this one, I could use this, roll again. Sort of like bang. But it's just kind of fun. Kind of fun. How am I going to move around? Who am I going to beat on? And all these things. That's just kind of fun. In the end, did I win? I was either I was 1 or I was 2nd place through beating other ones. And they talked about we played at a high play count, not the lower play counts like they had. And they said that at lower play count you were going to win mostly on points. But this one we just beat each other to a pulp. It was the other way around. Nah, we beat each other. And they said that, and that's interesting. That it's something different you focus on at lower play counts. That's not a bad thing. I actually think that's a good thing. That at lower play counts or at high play counts, you're kind of looking at it differently. It's still the same game. It's just the win condition is most likely going to be different. Well, a different win condition is most likely going to be met. I find that always interesting in these kinds of games, and it was fun. I'm giving it a 7 because it was just a lot of fun. There was not a lot in it, and that's why it's not going to get like a 10 or something. I wouldn't go out and buy it. Maybe I would rent it from the local library. They have some, but it's just fun. Chucking dice, seeing what happened. It's fun, right? Obviously, like Monopoly, this is kind of fun. Chucking dice and seeing what happens. I found it fun. I don't see why people would put it in a top 100 or top 10 of the year or something, but it was fun. Next one is Quedlinburg, Bag Builder. Again, another very interesting one where. Oh no. My phone is shining through the light, so my cat is seeing that. Nele? No. Oh man. What's the question? Yeah, where you sort of have a tactic for what you're trying to do, right? For the first one, I tried just filling my bag with a bunch of stuff as much as possible, and I actually won. I won by 1 point, and then 2 points to 3rd place with three players. And that was fun. Like I was just filling my bag. Second go, I tried to fill my bag with high amounts, right? High numbers. Rather than a bunch of 1s, it was a bunch of 4s, as much as possible. Really building my bag. And we played with Hurt Witches as well, trying to utilize that. I will have a quick mention of Hurt Witches, but Quedlinburg mainly. I enjoyed it. I didn't think I would enjoy it because it's bag building, and I sort of don't really overly enjoy deck building. That's not my favorite thing in the world. But I sort of liked bag building here. I sort of like that more than I do big deck building and drawing out from your bag and 100% cheating. I might as well be honest. I held my bag right here as I was pulling down. I could like drag up 3. I'm like, oh, that's an orange one. I'll take that one. A blue one. I need that one. 100%. My girlfriend sort of found out about it. My fiance sort of found out about it. Looked at me straight in the eye. Looked at me straight in the eyes, and I did it right in front of her. She didn't call me out. Because she didn't notice. Because I'm that fucking good at cheating. That honestly worried me a little bit that I'm that good at cheating. But it's another 7. Again, it's too lucky for me. I think like 7, 8 is like the cap for games that are this lucky for me. But it was good. Look, you can gotta sort of get around it with, the yellow ones, remove the white ones. I had a yellow one in, but it's completely useless. I think in 2 games I used the yellow one twice. That's a lot of things you're drawing out when you don't get to use it. So I thought that was the most useless one. The green ones, the blue ones, all those. They're brilliant and putting together. I definitely do sort of feel like with some of them, like the black ones, as soon as someone has Monopoly on the black ones, you shouldn't take those. My fiance got that really quickly, scored a lot through it, because she just got Monopoly on it instantly. And then you're doomed from it. I also do kind of feel like you're going to go for green, blue a lot, and then some pink, maybe some orange just to fill in. But I definitely think green and blue is probably the way to go. Well, maybe that changes. I know that there are different abilities for them, and we've only played with like 2 different sets of abilities or something. We haven't played with a lot of different abilities, mostly the same abilities. So maybe that changes. Maybe that's the change that is needed. I'll let the benefit of the doubt here and say that at the basic place, green and white, blue is the ones to go for. But maybe if you change up the powers, it's going to change quite a bit. Benefit of that there. Herb witches, real quick. The herb that it included, it did not. It was useless. Copying the ability of we didn't really use that in our play with herb witches. I tried it out and it didn't matter. It really did not matter at all. And then you have the abilities of the coins. Again, I like the variability. There's a lot of different ones. You only use one ability per play, so that's nice. Can you see the light all the way up there? We're gonna have to play with lights now, aren't we? Anyways, they're fine, and we definitely use them. I don't see the usability of them. It's a fine addition, just not necessary. I think I give her Bridge like a 5. I would give it a 5, just because I don't feel like it is the most necessary addition ever. It's not, because it is like, oh my god, freaking out about it. It was fine, I think. That's a 5. Sheriff of Nottingham is the next game. Quite a while since we actually played this one, but it was nice. We played a large group here, and I think this game needs a large group. I couldn't see us playing less than 3. I think 3 is a bare minimum. 4 or 5 recommended, definitely. But it was a lot of fun. You sort of had to learn the game, of course, but once you learn the game, it was a lot of fun. Me and a mate, like when we were the sheriff, we kind of had this thing where we just slide some over and we gave him coins. You could either, open the bag or just take the coins. You would know the coins had less value than that in the bag. So you, as the sheriff, right, we kind of had to real quick measure, is it worth it? But we kind of just took the coins. That was so fun. He started out and I was like, I'm just going to do the same. And then he did it again, and I did it again, and I just did that. And that was a lot of fun. I know the other ones, this back and forth, trying to cheat them in and trying to add some coinage to it. It was also interesting trying to make them open the bag, right? Because one time I had all green goods, legal goods, and I was like, I was like, do you want some coins with it? And she just believed me, and it was fine, right? I got the goods, but it would have been funnier if she opened the bag and it would have been legal, right? And I think that was a great little addition to it, that you could kind of do that. Now this is sort of social deduction-esque, not quite, but like adjacent, and you are sort of lying. And I don't know, my fiance was very bad at playing it, because like at some point I like saw through her lies and I opened the bag and there was red in it. And she was upset about it. So it is group dependent. You need to have the right group to play it. But also, I dislike the rule that like if you had 3 bread and a chicken, you could say I have 3 bread in here, but then there's chicken. You have to pay for that one, and that is a punishment, even though it's a legal good. Wasn't quite happy about that one, but I can understand why it's there, sort of. It's an interesting one. I think there were some rules that I disliked. But in the end, point scoring, we didn't get to play with the royal goods. I think they were called the purple ones. Haven't played with that yet. I do want to try and play that variant, but I don't think it's going to change much of a 7 rating. 7 out of 10. It's a good, funny game. It's very group dependent. You need the right group and you need a larger group, 4 or 5 people. I would totally recommend it, that one. I can't remember if you could go to 6. I don't think you could. I think it was 45. But I mean up to 5. So that's probably group dependent, larger group. But you can create some really fun, like me and my friend going back and forth, or trying to trick them. It didn't work. It did work. You're going to create some laughs around it, but you are very group dependent, and it needs to be a large group. I think that's probably the worst things I can say about it. And some of the rules where I thought, I don't really like that. I can understand why it was necessary to use it. So therefore, it's sort of just a minor flaw within the game design, right? And the final one, 7 Wonders. I talked about It's a Wonderful World earlier, this drafting game. I think I prefer It's a Wonderful World, just because you're building it at the end of the round rather than building right here, right now, seeing what happens. The war element I disliked. It sort of adds too much take of that, right? I prefer the take that of, well, I get more of these resources than you, therefore I take the bonus. That sort of battle I like more than the fact of, I'm stronger than you, so now take minus points. So I definitely prefer that kind of player interaction rather than the Seven Wonders beating you down. Seven Wonders definitely was interesting. Way more interesting ways was scoring, I would say. This thing was trying to maximize the green things, and so those were pretty interesting ways for scoring, definitely. I guess it was interesting that if you threw out the last card rather than just giving it to your opponent, you throw it out. That's definitely also interesting. And throwing out a card to get coins. Again, I think it would get a little bit better if you just build all your cards at the end, trying to make what you wanted to make. But at the same time, you can see that if you go through it, you are, you know, like you have wood resources here. Okay, I need probably wood later on, so I'm building that now so I can use it later in this same round. I can see that. So that's on the edge, but overall I like it. I think drafting is going to become one of my favorite. Card drafting specifically is one of my favorite ones. It's getting also an 8, just like It's a Wonderful World. But I would prefer It's a Wonderful World, definitely. It's also... Is it somewhere nearby? No. What the hell? I don't know where I put it, but right there. It's a Wonderful World. My fiance really likes it, so she has bought it. I was not going to buy it, but she did. And Seven Wonders is good. Less good than I wanted, but still it's a great drafting game and trying to build for the future, but also for the present, right? It's, you know, there's 6 points right here, but this one gives me 2 goods. This balance is very interesting. And seeing for what happens. And the thing with if you have one building, it could access a different building for free. Love that, actually. I really like that thing. The wonders, building your wonders, I don't think I've ever really used that in my games. I have never really won a game. I've come second in all the games I've played. So, I don't know, maybe it's useful, maybe it's not. It's definitely an interesting part, but I just feel like it's pretty unbalanced about the abilities of the Wanderers. I don't think all the Wanderers are sort of on the same level of giving you something really good. I've definitely sat with a Wanderer, I thought, I don't want to build this doesn't make any sense. But at the same time, I've sat with the Wanderer, I'm like, oh, I need to build this. So very, very interesting. I love that the things get more expensive in the later rounds, right? Because that's a thing it does better than It's a Wonderful World. In It's a Wonderful World, first round you could get dealt a bunch of very, very expensive stuff. And in the fourth round you get the very cheap stuff. But in this one it ensures that you are getting better and better cards, starting at the easy ones. That it does better, I like it. But yeah, I still would prefer It's a Wonderful World. This is a great game, 8 out of 10. Really good. And that is 5 games I've played. A positive episode for once. I mean, Agricola is the only one where I would talk it down. It's a -5, but it's still 5. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I will try and have one of these out for the next couple of Mondays. We'll see. You might, by the way, notice London up here. Ticket Ride London. Finally got hold of one more. I'm trying to get hold of the last few. We'll see how long it will take me. But another one in the game. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!